Here's what I know about you. You heard him clear as anything. You wrote it down, you prayed over it, you told yourself that this time would be different. This time you'd move, and then you waited. You waited for a feeling, you waited for confirmation, you waited for the fear to quiet down enough that the step felt safe. And it never did. The word stayed on the page, the moment passed, and now you're sitting with that familiar ache. The one that comes from knowing what you were supposed to do and still not doing it. Your real problem is not a hearing problem, it is a trust and obedience problem. And today, I want to tell you what it cost me to learn that and what it will cost you if you don't. It was the middle of the pandemic. My massage practice, it had closed. Income was gone, and I'm sitting in my home office with my head in a fog. I was staring at a wall, trying to figure out, well, what comes next? Do I rebuild the massage practice? Do I lean into coaching and consulting? Both of those options felt like stepping into the unknown. Both required me to work. Both required me to figure out how to keep my family safe while somehow generating income. And I could not get a clear answer. I prayed, I journaled, I did everything I was supposed to do, everything I now teach other women to do. And I still could not make the decision. Here's what I didn't realize at the time: I wasn't struggling to hear God. I was struggling to trust what I heard because every time something felt like a yes, fear built a case against it. It was urgent, catastrophic. You're going to get sick, your family is going to suffer, this is irresponsible. And every time fear finished its argument, then my logic stepped in. Are you being reasonable? Are you being self protective? You don't have enough data. Wait until things settle. Wait until you're sure. So I waited and I spiraled. And the longer I waited, the louder fear got, and the quieter something else became. Then an offer came in. There was an organization that I had worked with previously. They had received a grant and they wanted me specifically to do corporate chair massage event for a period of time. And something in me said that that's it. That is your sign. Now, I still felt nervous. And immediately my mind went straight into every reason it wasn't the right time. But underneath the nervousness and underneath all of the noise, there was something quiet and it was clear. And that quiet and clearness that I had, it was peace. And so I moved. I said yes to that opportunity. I found another location. I opened back up for business. And within days, with this opportunity, of course, my books filled up. I even had long term clients return, and it felt good. It felt right. And that is what happens when you move when he speaks. But here's what I want you to catch, because this is the part that took me years to understand. The only thing standing between me and that outcome, it was not more prayer. It wasn't even more clarity. It was not even more time. You know what it was? It was trust. Trust. That corporate chair massage opportunity, it taught me three things I now use every single time God speaks. And I want to give them to you Because if you are sitting on a word right now, these three things will change what happens next. So, this is what I call the three voices. And this is what I learned about what's happening inside of you when you freeze. These three voices, they are competing for your attention in the moment after God speaks. And only one of them is worth keeping. Now, that first is fear. Fear is it's going to be urgent. Fear is catastrophic. Fear tells you everything that will go wrong, and it does it with absolute certainty. You're going to fail. People are going to judge you. You're not ready. You don't have what it takes. Fear doesn't whisper, it screams. And when fear is screaming, it is almost impossible to hear anything else. Now, the second is logic. Now, logic is reasonable. It's also self protective and it sounds wise. Logic says, well, just wait for more information. Wait until things are stable. You don't have to move right now. Be smart about this. And logic is seductive because it sounds like wisdom and stewardship. But what I've learned, and what I want you to really hear this, is that logic is often just fear wearing a suit. It is fear that learned how to sound responsible. Now, the third is peace. Now, peace is quiet, it's clear, it doesn't argue for itself, it just sits there waiting for you to notice it. Peace doesn't tell you the whole plan, it doesn't even give you the 10-step roadmap. Peace gives you one thing, and that is the next right move. And it asks something of you. So here's the rule I live by now: you keep what carries peace, and everything else, every urgent voice, every reasonable objection, every compelling argument for waiting, let it go. And it's not because it's not real, it's not because it's not loud, it's because it doesn't carry peace. And when I was sitting in my office, fear said, well, I'd get sick. Logic said, wait for my data. But peace said, the corporate event is your sign. Say yes. And I almost talked myself out of it. I almost let my logic win, but I kept what carried peace and I moved. Now, I told you there were three voices, but here's what nobody tells you about the quietest one. Because peace doesn't just tell you what to do, peace tells you what to protect. And that brings me to the second thing I learned. And that is when God speaks, when you actually catch that still small voice, you have to protect what you just received. You may say, well, how do you do that? Write it down exactly as it came. Don't edit it, don't soften it, don't make it sound more reasonable so other people won't question it. And do not, I need you to really hear this. Do not expose it to every opinion in your life before you take a single step. This is what I call the stewardship trap, because you hear something, you feel the weight of it, but before you even move, you want someone to validate it. You know, you want your friend to say yes. I see that too. You want your pastor, your mentor, or your coach, or your group chat to confirm, oh girl, yeah, that is really God. And here's what happens. Every voice you bring in before you move, it dilutes the signal. Because every opinion, it now adds noise, and pretty soon You can't tell the difference between what God said and what everyone else said about what God said. So premature sharing, it costs you the assignment. And I have watched women lose entire callings because they asked too many people for permission to obey. Stewardship is not just about what God gives you. It's about what you don't hand over before you've taken the first step. Mhm. Which brings me to obedience. And this is where it gets honest. You don't need to see the whole staircase. You just need one step, and you need to take it within 24 hours. That's the one step rule. You see, when I said yes to the corporate opportunity, I didn't have a business plan at that time. I didn't even have a location. I didn't have a timeline. I had one step, and that was to say yes. And everything else, the location, the clients that were coming, the books filling up, that all came after I moved, not before. The provision came after the obedience. So obedience is not about having everything figured out. Obedience is about moving when he speaks, even while it's still uncomfortable, before the fear has time to build another case. Now, let me ask you something directly. What has God said to you that you are still sitting on? What word is still sitting in your journal right now? Written down, prayed over. It's as clear as the day you received it, and you still haven't moved. Here's what I know happens in that gap. The longer you wait, the louder fear gets. And the longer you wait, the quieter peace becomes. And eventually, this is the part that breaks my heart. Now the clarity starts to feel unreal. The word that was so sharp, so specific, so undeniable when you first received it, it starts to feel like, well, maybe I just imagined that. Maybe that wasn't really God. Maybe I should wait for something clearer. That is not faith. That's not a faith problem. That is what happens when your nervous system registers obedience as a threat. You see, your body doesn't know the difference between stepping into God's call and stepping off of a cliff. To your nervous system, it's the same signal. Why? Because it's unknown, unsafe. And so what do? You retreat. So it floods you with the same chemicals it would release if you were in physical danger. And you interpret that as, well, I must not be ready. I must not have heard right. I better wait. But those feelings are not discernment, they're biology. That gap between what he said and what you did is not a hearing problem. It's not a faith problem. It's a systems problem. You don't have a repeatable structure for what to do after God speaks. So every time he speaks, you start from scratch. You wait for clarity, that never comes. You let the moment pass, and moments, they pass. Assignments expire, words that were meant to be acted on become words you just look back at and wonder, well, I wonder what might have happened. What might have been? I don't want that for you. And that is exactly why I built Hear Him, Trust Him, Move. This is a 5 module self paced course, and it's available on demand right now. You enroll, you get instant access, and you can move through it at your own pace. Here's what's inside. Module 1 is stillness. You're going to learn how to create space to receive before a crisis requires it. And most women only get quiet when they're breaking. But this module teaches you how to build that stillness into your rhythm so you're positioned to hear God consistently, not just when everything is falling apart. Now, module 2 is discernment. Remember those three voices? In this module, this is where you'll learn to identify which voice carries peace and which one is fear in disguise every single time. So there's no more confusion, no more, I think it's God, but I'm not sure. Now, module 3 is stewardship. And this is the module I needed when I almost talked myself out of that corporate opportunity. You'll learn why premature sharing cost you the assignment and how to protect what God gives you until you've taken, that first step. Now, this is the very important part that I really want to get us to. I want to get us to, because there are three ways for you to enroll, three ways to enroll. Now, the course is only $97. That's all 5 modules. You get instant access, lifetime access. If you want the course plus the devotional bundle, it's $117. Everything in the course plus a 5-day written devotional companion with teaching and reflection prompts for each module. If you want the course plus a 60-minute private coaching call with me, that's $297. So that's everything in the course plus direct time together to work through what you've heard and to map your next steps. So if you are sitting on a word right now and you know you need someone to help you excavate it, then this is the tier for you. Afterpay is available at checkout. There are 4 payments of $75 for the coaching tier. The link is going to be in the description. I want you to go and enroll now, and let's close that gap between what God said and what you actually do. Now, before you go, I want to hear from you. Drop your answer in the comments. What has God said to you that you are still sitting on? I read every comment, I respond to them, and because I want you to name it. Because sometimes the first act of obedience is just saying it out loud. Now, if this teaching hit you, go ahead and share it with another woman who needs to hear it. You know who she is. She's the one who told you last week that she's stuck, that she knows what she's supposed to do, but she just can't seem to move. Send this to her. You heard him, you trust him, and now it's time to move. Blessings.